This is Stormworks Build and Rescue, and I'm here with one of the game creators, Dan Waters. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Very good. And we're looking at some of the initial building stuff and the first island that you start off on the game. So you're in a little workshop here, and this is basically a little kind of intro home base to your rescue empire, correct?
It is, yeah. This is like the island you kind of start off on, and you're a Coast Guard captain, and you're stationed on this tiny little island off the coast of Scotland. This is your life. You're kind of like stranded out here on your own, and your job is to provide the Coast Guard services for the region. And you live in this tiny little
house
hut. It's a simple life. Yeah. It's a simple life, exactly.
Should we have a quick look at the map actually? Just do you want to bring that up and see? So
this is
that's the island you're on.
This is where we
the island
start.
You can see.
And you kind of your vision. You kind of reveal the fog of war, kind of like 2 kilometers in any direction. So as we move, this will all reveal, and there's hundreds of islands.
God,
there is actually hundreds of islands. Yeah, it's I don't know how far it zooms out. I don't think anyone's ever gone to the edge. So someone will.
Is the Earth rounded, or is it flat, or is that for you to discover?
Well, I think you discovered it, didn't you? But I think that was
that was by accident.
Yeah, that was an accident. Yeah, the Earth's not meant to be flat. Yeah, so that's the map, and then just quickly, while on this screen as well, this is your kind of information, meta information screen. So you've got a list of missions there.
Here, rescue workers from an unsafe oil rig.
That's actually quite a good one. It's an emergency one. It's 3 kilometers away, and we've got 55 minutes to do it because the oil rig's unsafe. We've got to get over there and sort it out. And then you kind of got messages as well, and this is where your monthly reports come up. And
like when you complete a mission, you'll get like a feedback report.
Mission report, your monthly report as well. So monthly reports just kind of take in all of your missions that you did that month and amalgamates it into a score, and then your funding kind of goes up and down
accordingly. Yeah, cool.
At the end of each month. Yeah.
Excellent.
And as you can see, we've got $0 here. I think we might have to give ourselves some money. That's meant to have a number.
Use a cheat code.
And yeah, we're at the 1st of January. So
you're starting off the new year, right?
Exactly. And the day-night cycle is, I think it's 20 minutes or half an hour for a day.
Okay.
But you can sleep in the hut, and you can
choose
skip time forward. So you can just take it slow and explore the world. And we've just put loot boxes in. I'm not sure if they're in this build.
Oh wow.
But,
okay.
Yeah, you can go and.
Is that the way to unlock new components? Okay.
So there's a few ways. So with the essentially as you go through the game, you collect components. So these are the individual blocks that you'll build with, but you also collect blueprints, and these are the design of the component. And using a blueprint, you can buy an unlimited number of that type of component.
Okay, right.
Whereas where you've got components, you might have a limited number unless you've got the blueprint, in which case you're kind of unlimited. And you can find loot boxes. They're quite rare, but they're in the world. Sometimes they're floating in the ocean. Sometimes they're hidden on an island.
Okay.
And so you've kind of got that. You find them, grab them, and you'll get rewarded there. So you can explore the world. But otherwise, when you complete missions and at the end of the month as well, you get money, components, blueprints. The way we reward players for doing that kind of stuff.
So initially you start off building very basic sort of machinery, and then once you kind of like level, kind of progress through that game, you're kind of getting access to more and more crazy technology, and then.
If you're playing career mode, it's the way the game is meant to be played, but there's also the creative mode as well.
Where you've got everything and just go as crazy as you want.
We're building the mega base island at the moment, and yeah, you've got huge vehicle editing grids. So on the starting island, your vehicle editing grid is quite constrained, but you can quickly buy other islands, so you can kind of expand your empire. But there's the creative mode. You'll start on the mega base island with a huge vehicle editing grid, unlimited money, unlimited components as well.
Right, let's go into your workshop then, and let's take a look at trying to build your very first vehicle.
Absolutely.
Do you unlock components for this, or?
Oh yeah, let's do it. I think it might be.
Don't look at this menu, guys. This is top secret.
That is not in the release build. Yeah.
Right. So you go up to your workbench here, and then this is
the editor.
The building mode.
Yeah. This is you see here we've got like a central block. So this is like the starting block, and then at the bottom here we've got our components. So they're in categories. So we've kind of got our basic blocks, and then here's the actual blocks in the category. and we can page through them. Some categories got a lot of components in. So the basic ones, the vehicle control blocks are like...
I can see like a rudder, pilot seats and stuff like that there.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got some special logic objects, some pilot seats. Wheels are in vehicle control. Maybe we'll move them to mechanics. Actually, they probably belong in mechanics, but mechanics is pretty full right now. It's got a lot of stuff in. I think only 2 pages, actually. That's not so bad. But this is stuff where it's like they've kind of got some special physical function. So, and each one is quite a unique function. You've got these, that's a artificial horizon. It's one of your, you can place it in your cockpit and it gives you your, it just works like an
nice
artificial horizon. Yeah, exactly. You got, I think these are buttons, the connectors, like these magnetic components, so you can connect different vehicles together and create a joint between them. So they work as like magnets, and when they click, they create this fixed link, and they're logic linked, so you can turn them on and off and detach and stuff as well. That's like a dial for giving you feedback. Just quickly, I'll mention this is a placeholder text here. So that'll get done.
Yeah, you have something a bit more descriptive than just, hey, these are just example text. Don't ignore this.
Yeah, we got doors, handles that you grab hold of and you can pull stuff, and likewise stuff can pull you. So it creates like a you grab it with your hand and you can pull an object if it's light, but if it's a heavy object, then you can pull it a bit, but likewise it's probably going to pull you more than you pull it.
Yeah, it's really got that inertia.
But like you can grab hold of a boat or a helicopter or whatever and get lifted up and stuff like that. Hatches, lights, these the linear track. I'll explain that a bit maybe. And these is kind of like basically robotic parts. So you've got a linear track where you've got a block that moves along a track in one axis, and that's controllable through the logic system. This is like a pneumatic prop that can go in and out. These are hinges. I think that's a robotic hinge. That's an unpowered hinge. And then you've got the robotic pivot, which is a powered one. You've got a suspension arm as well. So these kind of stuff.
Crazy,
yeah. They're very kind of like, I guess, abstract as components, and we're not really sure how people are going to combine them and stuff. I think we try not to have too fixed an idea of what the component's for when we're designing it, so that it's not specifically for one specific problem. It's kind of a general component that we're not really sure where the limits of it are. Propulsion engines, helicopter rotor blades, boat propellers, jet engines, and then the specialist stuff is kind of where we put stuff.
So you've got the search engine there, passenger seats, flotation devices.
You got your lights, your search light, which is like a spotlight thing, and that's like robotic as well, so you can steer that. And then the logic,
which is really when stuff gets crazy.
This is. Only 2 and a bit pages here for some. I thought there was more than that. You've got altimeter, which is like an input type, and then you've got like AND gates, OR gates, NOT gates, and things like that. And then you've got some kind of special ones that where you can set a value, or you can modify value, add values together, turn something off and on based on threshold. The logic system we'll look at later in the video.
Yeah, I'm getting sort of like flashbacks to the one time I tried to do coding here, just doing like ands and booleans and oh god. Right, so let's start putting the basic kind of building blocks literally down of a sort of vehicle. So what should we have a go at first? A boat, a helicopter?
What do you want to do? Should we edit a vehicle or shall we make a new one?
Let's start off making a new one, and then maybe let's dive into one we made earlier.
Cool. Okay, so let's do a boat.
Okay.
Let's do a boat because the logic's a little bit more straightforward on a boat. It's good for introducing it, and then maybe later we'll look at something.
So once you kind of get your head around like
maybe later
the basic boat thing.
a future video. We could be here for a while, so I'll start by placing. I usually place the pilot seat first. You can place whatever you want.
Yeah, you can really get that sort of basic down.
And it's also quite useful because it kind of gives you a sense of scale, so you know how big your vehicle's going to be. So what kind of boat should we make?
What's sort of the easiest thing to do? I guess like a sort of basic speedboat, I guess, would be probably the easiest type thing to do.
Let's rough something out.
Yeah. And then
get kind of a sense of the scale, and then we'll refine it later. So I'll turn on mirroring mode. So at the top here, we've kind of got our tools. It's not as complicated as it looks.
So we have like a sort of move, erase, paint.
Exactly. You can select components and modify them. You can modify their parameters. You can erase objects, paint objects, so you can change the color of them and change the color of surfaces. So I do a bit of that, like with the paint tool, you just kind of paint on, and it paints the surface rather than the entire block. Moving is for moving the entire vehicle around the edit grid, so you can kind of reposition it if you want to
Get a better angle
the center. Yeah, exactly. The logic mode, that's for linking the logic stuff. We'll have to do that later. Merging is a tool probably not even going to need to know about today. That's for when you've got
really
multiple
advanced,
bodies and you want to get things to become one body, but they're kind of two. And you get like basically the idea of bits that can move independently if they're hinged together and jointed and stuff, but then you can merge them together into one piece if you want. We're using symmetry mode, so we've just turned on this plane, and in this red plane here,
So
we
if
build
you
a
do it
block
on one side, it'll kind of repeat on the other.
Exactly. So let's place some blocks. We'll make a yellow boat. Why not? So I will place some blocks here, and I guess just start kind of roughing out some kind of shape. You see it just kind of like...
So it's kind of very quickly to kind of get like the basic mechanics down.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's sort of build out a basic square.
I am the worst person to do this because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I actually quite enjoy playing the game. I would be here for hours if you let me, but I'll try and get to the point a little bit. So let's build this
This is my
out.
kind of basic experience with the game. It's like I've almost had like just blocks, like very basic blocks, kind of built out to do helicopters. And then once I kind of got my basic idea of like, right, this can move, then I start going, right, now what else can I do here to make this cooler? Do I put like trapdoors on it? Do I put cargo bays on it? And then once you kind of got your basic head around like, does this fly or does this work in this sort of the ocean environment, then your mind starts going crazy into what you can build next.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'll start with I'll kind of rough it out as kind of like a general mass, and then I'll start like refining the hull and using the angled blocks as well, and start working in the logic objects and putting doors in and stuff. But kind of like generally, I'll make something that I'm kind of happy that it moves and floats or flies or it's the right kind of weight.
Basically how this works now. Let's get down to like making it look cool and kind of adding more bits onto it and then seeing what works next.
Exactly, because you can make something that's really rough that works, but then there's a lot of detail and little pieces that you can then kind of really get into in terms of what one button does, how you arrange the dials and the buttons in your cockpit, and I have quite a lot of fun with let's give it a pointed nose. So it's a pretty big boat, I would say. So let's build it down a bit.
And it's pretty important to say as well, like all these blocks have weight to them. So like if you're kind of making something quite substantially heavy and putting this into the ocean, it's just obviously going to just sink straight away. And there was a way to kind of check your center of mass as well, which kind of very becomes important when it comes to things like helicopters.
Yeah, I'll turn that on here. So it's just running as pink at the moment. It's like this little
It's nice
pink
and
square.
central right now.
Yeah, so it's pretty central. So we can tell. I think the different components have different weights and stuff. So I think engines are usually quite heavy. So that's if you put an engine towards the back, it's going to really move the center of mass towards the back, which you may or may not want, depending on what you're trying to do. And also, I think it is a sandbox game, and you're gonna do stuff and not really know what the effect's gonna be, and sometimes it moves towards what you wanted, sometimes it moves away, and it's kind of like you kind of get that feedback. Right, so that's kind of a hull. So I reckon that's gonna float. Let's make it so it's something that kind of works at some kind of basic level. I think I kind of fancy, I don't know, it could be far too powerful. Let's put
jet engines on it.
Well, exactly. I don't know what because the jet engines have. This is all going to be in the tooltips, which I haven't done yet. But if we put a jet engine there, and I'll spin it on that axis. So.
God.
Yeah, I don't want to get this.
You'll throw your hair off.
Yeah, we'll move it one back so it doesn't look quite so ridiculous. There we go. And then I will raise the bottom of this so I can see
exactly where it is. Okay,
yeah,
so you can see there are a couple of holes.
We can see the pipes, yeah, exactly. I'll just kind of fill that back in. And we're just going to... actually, what we're doing at the moment is... we don't need both of those. We're talking about kind of like don't know how much I should talk about this because I don't want to talk about stuff that we don't fully finish for the initial release, but we're looking at basically having a casual and a hardcore mode for the game.
Okay.
So we're looking at taking the pipes out of casual mode and just leaving it in hardcore mode. And for casual mode, instead of doing pipes, you just do a logic link between the two.
Okay, so the engine works with this, so yeah.
You'd still link the engine to the propeller, but you wouldn't have to physically create this physical route. Yeah, it's kind of like, the idea is that it's kind of a physical torque kind of link, so we wanted to have the kind of the physical linkage.
It's got a big consideration because in my basic messing around with it, it's like, okay, I've got this engine here, I've got this here, and I put blocks in between them, and I realise I need to put the piping in.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, okay, no. I didn't think about that. Yeah, and I have to kind of erase blocks to kind of put some initial piping in to actually kind of make the thing go.
Exactly. So, right, let's put that there, and I think that's all linked up actually. So we've got a boat with a propeller on the back and a massive, unnecessarily large engine, and we'll put in some fin rudders. Where should we put them? We'll put them on the edges here. That was in vehicle control, wasn't it? We'll just place them there. And then I'll just fill this in because the way the game works is when you seal a volume, that becomes a sealed volume. And the game knows it's a sealed volume, so and it applies buoyancy to it.
Get into it there as well.
Exactly. So if your boat is like a bathtub and it's got an open top, then that doesn't count as a sealed volume. So it doesn't produce the same level of buoyancy that the sealed volume does.
Right, so it's basically essentially trapping the air in there.
Yeah.
It's going to float.
Exactly. So the next thing I'm going to do is
the good
just
thing is that kind of centre of gravity hasn't really changed at all, so it kind of really doesn't kind of indicate that it's actually pretty central and actually probably quite lightish as well.
Exactly. Right,
So we've just put 2 buttons down.
2 buttons down because it's mirrored mode, but I'll probably only use one.
So this is where we start messing around with the logic.
So let's turn the engine on and off. So that button I've just linked to the engine. So we press that button, the engine's going to turn on. And then we've got these 4 green things. And again, still got to do the tooltips.
So essentially x-axis, y-axis.
X-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and the w-axis.
Yeah.
And that's, so X and Y is your WASD controls.
Okay, right.
So X is left and right. So, and we'll put this tooltip obviously.
A and
so
D, yeah.
A and D. So sideways goes to the rudders. And Y goes to the engine to modify the throttle. So that's forward and backwards, and that tells the engine to go backwards or forwards. And I think as a final detail, I'm just going to put some extra weight blocks on. I've just got a feeling that this vehicle is just going to be a little bit too buoyant. So we'll just take and that brought the centre of mass forward a little bit as well. We'll just add a couple more on there.
So you get that real instant feedback as well with the kind of pink block move straight away. So you can, if you put too many on, you can just quickly erase some.
Exactly. It's something we're looking at a lot at the moment is also how to give more feedback on this, to give the player kind of like more feedback on the performance of the design in terms of the buoyancy and the how buoyant it's going to be based on how much volume it is, how much weight it's got, and so the player will get that kind of feedback.
A bit more immediate feedback rather than spending
level.
ages like building it, putting it out to sea, and it just sinking like a stone. You think, gonna have to go back to the drawing board.
Exactly. Right. So that boat should float now. One thing interesting, I'm going to show you this, even though we're about to change it.
So ignore this, folks. This is
another
this
thing.
Is just for hours only.
Exactly. Whoops. Need mirroring mode on. I'll just add these in.
Are you gonna? Let's see. Well, I don't know what you're gonna do yet. That's.
So I think that's right. Basically, we need to lift this into the water. We have changed this now, so when you spawn a vehicle, it'll spawn in the boathouse, but in the water area of the boathouse. So it's a wet dock area.
Yeah, okay, right.
It'll spawn above it and it'll drop in. But at the moment, we've actually got a boat ramp there instead. But we'll swap that for a wet dock.
And should I put some lights on here as well?
We put some lights on. Okay, why not? Where were they? They were in special, weren't they? So it was like a spotlight or just some lights?
Let's bling out the front of this. Maybe put lights on the sort of the points going forward.
Okay, what colour would you like? Because you can.
Oh God.
I'll place the lights, and why not? We'll go all out. So you can paint the light part its own. So
okay, so that'll give us some red lights then.
Yeah, and maybe a blue spotlight instead. Right, there we go.
And then we can connect those to one of the buttons, right?
Yes, so we've got our button at the front. So we'll use this one here because we've used that other one for the engine. This one can do those things and also wire it up to all of the lights as well.
The connector works, and as soon as that does, all the lights come on as well.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Last thing, actually, before I forget, let's mirroring mode back on, and we'll just erase a patch here, and we're going to put a ladder up the side.
So we can get in the thing.
Yeah, we might be able to get in that, I'm not sure, but a ladder up the side is definitely going to make it a lot easier. So where is my ladder piece? Here it is. Right, so make it a yellow ladder. And let me just rotate this, so it's 5 and 6.
So you see the rotation axis is around on the sort of X, Y, and Z, so 1, 7, 4 to kind of spin it around.
Yeah, but actually, this is one of the things we've got feedback on. We're going to change this, make it a bit simpler, just a bit simpler to use. And some laptops don't have numpads, and it's kind of expected to have a numpad and stuff as well, so we'll simplify that out. Cool. Let's
see if this works.
So here we go.
And there we go. That's our brand new shiny boat.
Right, it has spawned. Let's turn this on, and our lights have gone. Oh yeah,
nice.
That's facing upwards. We need to put control on it to tilt it backwards.
Oh right, okay,
but maybe we'll just go for the Batman style upward facing light for now. So we've got to get it in the water for now. So this island, I think we are going to keep this gantry crane on, this is actually like a vehicle in the game, and it's just.
You control it with those buttons.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just built with the same tools that you build vehicles with.
Do you want to just cheat slightly and actually get just change the time of day?
Oh yeah.
Super shiny. Again, ignore this. It's not going to be there in the file game.
No, the cheap menu.
Like we said, there's a full kind of day-night cycle in the game. So some missions you may have to do at night, and those lights are going to be really important.
We've broken this. It's far too slow. Yeah, that's something we changed the last couple of days. I forgot about this. We can't just spawn this straight in the water. So what I will do is I will go back to the workbench. I'm going to save this out. So you see some of the vehicles I've made there.
So once you can start building up a fleet of vehicles, you can save these, and you can use them for different purposes. Like I need my basic boat, I need my speedboat to get to a place very quickly, or I need a helicopter. So once you've got almost like your saved fleet, you can sort of go back and refine them all the time rather than just kind of one build.
Exactly. We'll make it, I guess, because a big part of the game is iterating through the design process and playing and testing and then redesigning and then testing and redesigning and testing. So let's get that engine back on.
So instantly we can see it's not quite as a...
No, it's behaving a lot better now. It's still a little bit on the powerful side, but
well, we have got a jet engine in there.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so it's kind of like skipping on the waves a little bit.
So this is probably the most powerful speedboat the world has ever seen. Should we take a look at something maybe a bit more crazy, like one we've built earlier?
Certainly. Okay, I will. Okay, so there's the video, the helicopter we saw in the initial trailer, but maybe this is probably my finest creation, David. This is pretty ridiculous.
Gosh, look at that.
Yeah, so I've been making this to test the multiplayer feature, and it's kind of, it's got 2 seats. It's got a back door that opens and closes. It's got a little hatch at the bottom that opens and closes as well, and it's got a winch, which, as we discovered, is probably not going to work anyway at the moment. But that kind of lowers down. You open the winch, and you can airlift stuff by lowering it down. We've got some extra connectors at the point. I just kind of put these on the side. I'm not really sure what we're going to lift with these yet. They could be extra fuel tanks or something in hardcore mode.
Or even like maybe if you want to tackle forest fires later on, they could have like big barrels of water on them, big kind of containers of water. So when you get to a certain point, you can push them and it releases water on onto a forest fire.
Exactly. We'd have to make those components first, but yes, yes. But
Now
yeah.
I've tied you into that corner.
I know
you have to make that now.
yeah, so we're committed to the feature. So yeah, let's give this a spawn. And does it float? It's not really meant for water. It's
Yeah,
kind
so
of meant
this
for
test
swimming.
grid is kind of out into the water at the moment. Generally, you would spawn this on a real helipad.
So the ultimate island, the creative mode, hopefully it's only a week away. We should have that in the game, and that's got a huge boat editing area and also an aircraft hangar. So I've swum inside this. I'm going to jump in the pilot seat in first person.
Because the propellers are slightly above water, of course it's going to work. There we go.
Yes, of course. So actually in softcore mode, kind of like we've loosened some of the gameplay constraints to make it kind of less frustrating if you crash a vehicle, for example. So actually, at the moment, in casual mode, propellers do work underwater.
Yeah, but assuming like in the hardcore stuff.
Obviously in hardcore mode, they would not work like that. No.
Should we try risk flying to that next island we see over there?
Sure thing, okay, right. Let's go into first person and throttle up.
So is that the artificial horizon on the left-hand side?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got the artificial horizon. I think that middle one is showing our throttle output. So we've got it set to, I think vertically up is 0 and all the way to the right is 100. So we've got that set to maybe 25%-ish.
Okay.
And then we've got wheel. So we've got landing gear on this as well. We've got landing lights. If we go to third person, they just blink. Yeah, I can't help myself. I think
A landing gear as well.
is the landing gear up. There we go.
There we go.
Retracted the landing gear, and then there's a bunch of controls for the operator there as well.
So when you kind of dive into multiplayer, and you've got someone else who can really act as your co-pilot.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So have we overshot this a little bit? I'll just bring it back around. And shall I cheat and make it daytime again as well?
Yeah. So we can. There we go. Right. So we can actually find out where we're going.
Okay, I've got to concentrate now.
Yeah,
I'm going to go really quiet.
It turns out that flying a helicopter is no easy task.
So I mean,
there's a
the helicopter's being driven by the physics system, so it's not like we've just specified this as being a helicopter. It's a helicopter because the player's placed a rotor, and the force comes out of the rotors depending on how much energy the engines are producing, and the controls going through a logic system which manages the gyroscopic stabilities of the gyroscope component that's very useful for building helicopters and so on. So it is
nicely done.
I think I forgot to retract the landing gear actually. It's a shame.
So we can't take off again. You're just scraping the bottom.
No, we haven't. Actually, we can just deploy the landing gear now. It should push us up.
Push it.
There we go. Oh, hang on, the wheel brake because we're rolling.
There we go.
Yeah.
Again, so like you get to a point because obviously you've probably been testing this out, but it's one thing you didn't think of. It's like you land.
Yeah, exactly, and then you start rolling.
It just rolls into the sea.
You cannot forget to put the brakes on. Yes, this is actually the hospital island. So in some of the missions where you need to rescue people, sometimes
who are injured, you need to bring them to
exactly
a medical centre.
And this is a tiny little. Whoops! Someone has accidentally duplicated the building. Oh, are these extra buildings? I'm not sure. I don't know. I think they're in there by accident. I think there's only meant to be one building on this.
We can go in there, and if I recall correctly, you can pick up the TV.
You can. There's lights and stuff, and yeah, we can.
Let's throw that TV into the sea.
It's on the bunk base. Yeah. Yeah, I think you bring them to this area essentially. And I think this is kind of the idea here is basically it's some poor medical staff that basically live out here and get resupplied every now and again, but they live in the lobby area. They've got the TV. They can't even watch the TV anymore because we've thrown it up there.
You've thrown it up there like a jerk.
There's a small ward, and then in the back
couple of
there's
bathrooms and radio sensors.
this is like a little treatment room, bathroom, that kind of thing. So there's a little bit of a
context for actually bringing people here.
Yeah, it's the tough hospital island life.
Go to the map again so we can just see how far we came from.
Oh,
so
hardly done anything, yeah. So
that's our sort of home base in the middle there, and that island to the north, that's the one we've just flown to. So yeah, I think that shows off a little bit of some of the building and mechanics of Stormworks. Kind of quick look at the logic system and exactly how crazy you can get with that helicopter there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll come back next time and look at some crazier features in Stormworks Build and Rescue. Coming soon.
Fantastic, thank you very much.
Thank you.